In 1984, an enigmatic villain proclaiming himself the monster with 21 faces revealed himself to the people of Japan. Through a series of shocking letters, the man, or organization behind him, projected a powerful aura of fear that briefly consumed Japanese society. Today, no one knows who was behind the monster's reign of terror or what drove him to do what he did before he disappeared. On March 18th, two masked men broke into the Osaka home of Katsuhisa Izaki, the CEO of Glico, a Japanese candy company that makes Pocky, the popular chocolate-covered biscuits. After tying up Izaki's wife and 3 children, the executive was taken to a local warehouse and held hostage. The kidnappers requested 1 billion yen and 100 kilograms of gold from Glico for his release, equal to about $11 million today. Glico ultimately did not have to pay the ransom when Izaki escaped unharmed by himself after only 3 days in captivity. His flight infuriated his captors, who retaliated by escalating their campaign against the company. The failure would set off a cascade of events that would haunt the country for months. Just weeks after the kidnapping, 3 cars in Glico's corporate parking lot burst into flames. A short time later, a bottle of hydrochloric acid was delivered to the company with a note creepily signed "Monster with 21 Faces," a borrowed moniker from the villain of a fictional Japanese detective series. Another threatening letter from the monster arrived in May, informing Glico that some of their confections had been laced with deadly potassium cyanide soda and distributed to stores for unsuspecting consumers. To avert potential disaster, Glico opted to recall all its products from stores throughout the entire country. The drastic reaction cost Glico $21 million in sales, sending its stock price tumbling, and forcing the company to lay off 450 workers. Despite the threat, no contaminated candy was ever discovered, and investigators failed to turn up any leads. The monster, in turn, sent taunting letters to the media and the police. One began, "Dear dumb police officers," while in another the monster wrote, "You seem to be at a loss, so why not let us help you? We'll give you a clue. We entered the factory by the front gate." Weeks went on with still no leads when, for no apparent reason, the monster issued a message to the media announcing on June 26th, "We forgive Glico." Thereafter, the harassment of the company ground to an unceremonious halt. But what at first seemed like the end of a nightmare was in fact just the beginning, as the monster was to bombard 3 additional Japanese companies with similar cryptic letters and extortion plots. Targeted by the monster's next threats was another large candy manufacturer, Morinaga, along with the food companies Marudai Ham and House Food Corporation. The monster ordered Morinaga to pay 100 million yen, or about $410,000 today, or else face unspecified consequences. Believing the threats to be empty after the Glico capitulation, Morinaga executives did not agree to the extortion plot, a decision they would soon regret. In October, a letter from the monster was published in the media addressed to all the mothers in the country, informing them that Morinaga confections now taste a bit bitter since we have added a special seasoning of sodium cyanide. Police scoured store shelves and found a total of 21 Morinaga choco balls and angel pies that had been poisoned. In what some consider an act of mercy, the contaminated packages all contained an added label that read, "Danger, contains toxins." In June, the monster again made an offer to end the harassment campaign against the food corporations for 50 million yen. He sent detailed instructions for the money drop that were handed over to police. Hoping to catch the phantom criminal in the act, an undercover officer posed as a company employee to carry out the instructions as part of a sting operation. As the officer rode a train bound for the drop point, he looked out for a white flag along the path that would be his signal to throw the money out the window. The white flag never appeared, but the officer noticed a large, well-built man wearing sunglasses who was suspiciously watching him, and noted that he had eyes like those of a fox. The officer trailed him through the train from car to car, but the mysterious man eluded him in the station. Known as the Fox-Eyed Man, he would be one of only 2 unidentified suspects throughout the entire case of the monster with 21 faces. The other suspect, known as the videotaped man, was discovered earlier after the initial Glico threat. Security cameras recorded him hiding his face under a baseball cap while he placed Glico chocolates back on a grocery store shelf. After comparing witness accounts of both the videotaped man and the fox-eyed man, police came to believe they were the same person and released this composite sketch to the public. Despite the national attention on the case, nobody came forward to identify the suspect, and public outrage over the lack of progress in the case continued to grow. In August 1985, the police superintendent who commanded the investigation, Shoji Yamamoto, poured kerosene over his body in what many called an act of self-immolation for having failed to apprehend the monster with 21 faces. It seems that Yamamoto did not sacrifice himself in vain, as 5 days after his death, the monster sent what would be the final letter, stating in part, "No career Yamamoto died like a man, so we decided to give our condolence. We decided to forget about torturing food-making companies. We are bad guys. That means we've got more to do other than bullying companies. It's fun to lead a bad man's life." Following that final letter, the monster with 21 faces would never be heard from again and would never be identified. When the statutes of limitation on the poisoning, attempted extortion, and kidnapping expired in 2000, the unsolved case was officially closed.